Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SkillShop series. This is the first SkillShop applying and showcasing OCE grants. We have people who are joining us right now. My name is Juan Ochoa, and I'm the Faculty Initiatives Coordinator at the Office of Community Engagement, and I'm joined by two wonderful colleagues. First, Jennifer Alford. So Jennifer, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Juan. My name is Jennifer Alford. I'm an assistant professor in geography and environmental studies, and I've had the wonderful privilege of working with the Office of Community Engagement since I started at Cal State San Bernardino in 2017. So this is a fitting workshop for me because I've probably applied for every single grant OCE has provided, and it has really been a platform for me to do some great work in the community and to involve students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer is a great resource for everyone. She offers a great faculty perspective that, maybe OCE staff may not be able to. So she's always there for you. She did put her email on the chat, so you're always welcome to shoot her an email. I'm also joined by OCE Director Diane Podolsky. Diane, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. My name is Diane Podolsky. I'm your Director of Community Engagement. We're here to help you with grants. We have a full pot of money this year from the Chancellor's Office, and we're very eager to get it into faculty hands. So I hope that all of you on the webinar will decide to apply for some of our funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Diane will also be presenting with me today, and she'll be presenting the latter half of the presentation. So let me move forward to our agenda. This is a 30-minute presentation, so we want to make sure that every minute is spent wisely. So we're going to talk about three main sections throughout this presentation. First, we're going to provide an overview about the Office of Community Engagement and about our grant programs. Second, we're going to talk about some strategies to write an effective grant application. And lastly, we're going to talk about documenting your community engagement efforts. When you're doing community engaged work, there's a lot of great things that go into building a partnership. So we want to make sure that they're all reflected in the work that you do. So let me move forward to the next slide. Okay, first an overview about the Office of Community Engagement. OCE facilitates service learning, community-based research, and volunteer service by engaging students, staff, and faculty, and community partners in collaborative partnerships that serve the public good. We are known for leading the university-wide culture of community engagement as a high-impact practice that contributes to student success. Something that you'll hear throughout this presentation and throughout work with our office is that we are all for mutually beneficial partnerships. We want to make sure that we leverage, university wisdom that is in the community to join forces and give students really meaningful learning experiences, but also contribute to our community and to the well-being of it. Let me talk a little bit about the purpose of our grant programs and about who is eligible to apply. The purpose of our grant programs is to provide financial support for collaboration among community partners, students, and faculty. Our ultimate goal is to expand and deepen mutually beneficial relationships among faculty, students, and community partners, and make a sustained positive difference in our community. So again, we move back to that theme of mutually beneficial partnerships, and sometimes a barrier to creating those partnerships is just financial resources. So we hope that with these grants, you're able to overcome some of those barriers. Who is eligible for our grant programs? Our grant programs are open to all CSUSB and CSUSB PDC faculty. Everyone is open to apply. There are some faculty who are working under the library or under athletics. They're also eligible to apply. We just want to make sure that the work that they're doing aligns with the purpose of our grant programs. At the end of the sentence, you will see a little asterisk, and that's for faculty members who are hired in very short-term contracts. Sometimes faculty members are hired with 6 months contracts or with a year contract, and those faculty members are eligible to apply for some of our grants, but we will ask for a co-applicant, someone who is on a longer term basis, just to make sure that if we do disperse those funds, that the funds will continue to do work and the partnership will remain. Let me move over. Okay, so let me talk about our grant opportunities, and I think this is why everyone came today. So we have 3 different grant opportunities, and they range from anywhere to someone who is barely starting with their community engagement work, or someone who's already a community engagement expert. Our first grant opportunity is our Establishing Community Partnership Grant. This provides up to $3,000 for faculty who are looking to establish or further develop community partnerships as a first step of other community engagement strategies. For example, if you're working with a community partner to establish, a service learning opportunity or to develop some research project, this can be a nice little seed grant to help you develop that. We also have a $2,000 service learning fellowship program, which provides funds to support faculty who are developing service learning opportunities for CSUSB students. Kind of the nice part about this grant is that you can use this to infuse service learning into an existing course or to develop a new course with a strong service learning component. And of course, if you are developing a service learning course, we are always there to help you at all stages. So if you need some ideas, if you need some example activities for your students, we can always provide those. Lastly, we have a $5,000 mini grant for community-based research projects. Community-based research is research that is done between university researchers and community partners to solve a pressing community identified issue or affect social change. Something that we will ask in your grant applications when you're applying for this grant is that the university researchers and the community partners are seen as equals. So the community partners are always involved at every stage of your research project. When you're building the research, when you're collecting data, and when you're ready to disseminate information, community partners have to be a part of all that. So let me move to the next slide. I think I did mention at the end of the presentation there'll be time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please write them down and we can answer it at the end of the presentation. Okay, so now moving forward to our use of funds. This is a big question that we get. We have all these grant funds for faculty members, but sometimes they're not exactly sure how they can be used. So here are typical uses for grant funds. Research and teaching resources like books and journals are definitely eligible to be used from our grant programs. You may also purchase some supplies, which include technology. For example, if you need a tablet or a laptop, you may use funds for that. There are some additional paperwork you have to do if you're purchasing technology over a certain amount, but we will always let you know that information. Duplication and postage costs are also eligible for our grants. For example, if you're going to print out flyers and booklets, posters, that's definitely something that you can use our grant funds for. A big one is student assistants, student researchers. When you're doing community engagement projects, it's always helpful to have someone else to help you. Manpower is always helpful, so you can definitely use our grant funds to hire student assistants. Lastly, we have conference fees, and that kind of goes for all professional development opportunities, as long as they relate to community engagement and to the work that you're going to be doing with your community partner. We will approve the use of funds for that purpose. Another thing to note is that some faculty members use our grant funds to pay our community partners as research or teaching consultants. That is eligible to be used from our grant funds, but something to consider is that it can sometimes be quite a lengthy process to hire community partners as independent contractors, as research or teaching consultants. So just be prepared for that. But if we see your application come in, we will let you know in advance, and we're always here to help. Something to note is that you cannot pay international community partners. Just the system has been created in a way to make this super difficult, and it's nearly impossible to pay international partners. So that is something to note. International travel is not allowed with the mini grant funds. So if you have a professional development opportunity overseas, unfortunately, you cannot use that. Use our grant for that purpose. Kind of in the same category, if you're going to be traveling to another state, you have to first check that it is not on the California's list of banned states. I think there's about 10 to 11 states that California employees cannot travel to. But you can find that information on our website, and we will always make sure to keep you updated. And lastly, something to consider that these are stateside funds, so you're always going to be subject to CSU and CSUSB spending policies. Sometimes when you're buying things that are out of the ordinary, it can become a little bit challenging to purchase some items. Working in our office, we always have to buy things that are out of the ordinary. So we're always happy to help kind of navigate that administrative puzzle. All right, moving over to section 2, strategies to write an effective grant application. Kind of knowing when and where to apply is very important to having a successful grant application. First, knowing the grant deadlines. The first one just passed September 10th, but there's 3 upcoming grant deadlines, one in October, one in November, and one in December. And you can apply in the InfoReady website, csusb.infoready4.com. That's where all the university's grant programs for students and faculty are located. And when you log into that, there's going to be a grant calendar. And kind of like you see in this picture right here, you will see our grant programs. We do encourage everyone to apply as soon as they can, especially in the fall semester. Kind of as we go through the academic year, we start giving out more of those grant opportunities, and they become more and more competitive. So if you can get them early, it's more likely that we will fully fund your project. So that's something to consider. I think that is it for me. I'm going to pass it over to Diane, and she will finish off this presentation.
Got to unmute. Here we go. All right. Thank you, Juan, for all of these remarks. That's fantastic. I do want to say that there are some helpful tips in planning your proposal. This is meant to be a very friendly process for faculty. If you're turning in more than 5 pages for any of these, you're doing too much. This is definitely meant to be, let us know what you need, let us know your project, and let's move forward with getting this funded. First step would be to consider if it's appropriate for funding, and critically, does it address a community issue, and try to highlight that in your application. And we're always looking for good ideas, even if they're kind of off the wall. If it looks like something that is going to address a project or community problem in a new way, or involve people that are normally not involved, we're excited about that. We're going to help you think about how, if you start this project, how it could be expanded in the future, or include other people, include other faculty, maybe be interdisciplinary, and continue to fund to try to help make the project be very robust. Obviously, we only have the money that we have, and so we're happy to fund all the way up to the limit, but we can't fund over. And critically, you want to make sure that your community partner is in the loop all the way through to make sure that they are in agreement with what you're planning, but also that it will actually help them. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a little bit tiny, but just to review the actual narrative for the applications, really, I can't stress this enough. Brevity is fine. I'd rather have you just clearly describe what you're going to do, and we'll get those approved for you as quickly as possible. Tip 2, provide a brief explanation of how the grant will help you explore future projects. I already talked about that a little bit. Tip 3 is the adequate dissemination of your work. The CSU is the largest service learning system in the world, and this money comes from the Chancellor's Office. They're very interested in making this investment, and they have since 1999. But what they are looking for is a way to then disseminate to taxpayers who fund this, to let them know how their dollars are being used to help benefit the community. And so as you're thinking about dissemination, we'll look for your professional dissemination, but also how will the community know about the work that you're doing, and how are you lifting up the work of a nonprofit to help make things better for all of us. Tip 4, explaining how your research and service will provide a solution for community issues. Okay, I've kind of gone over that, but again, that should be a part of your dissemination plan. And tip 5, don't overthink the letter from the community partner. I can't stress that enough. Sometimes when you ask a community partner for a letter, they'll write pages and pages. It's not necessary. All I need to have is an email to me saying, I'm so-and-so, I'm with this agency, I'm aware of and happy to work with this faculty member on this project, thank you. I just need acknowledgement from them that they are aware of your project and they're willing to work on it. That's all I need. It's an audit item. It's not necessarily going to be evaluated for content or anything else, just that a letter is on file stating that the partner is agreeing to either the service learning or the community-based research. Next slide, please. All right, budget. This is the part that sometimes is a little bit of a wrinkle, and I don't want it to be. I want this to be very straightforward. In order for us to transfer money to you, we need to know the budget account number to transfer it to. And so please include that information on your budget form so that if we approve it, we can quickly get you those funds. That's our goal, is to transfer the money as soon as possible so that you can get started. You'll see that there are different categories: supplies, duplicating, postage, student assistant. If there is something that you want to do that isn't listed, please zip us an email. We'll get back to you right away about, can we figure out a way to make this work, or is this something that's going to be outside of the scope? I would always ask. We've gotten a lot of things that we normally don't purchase approved, so give us a chance, and we'll do our best to try to meet your needs. Again, the email support from the department chair can also be short. I need to know that that person is aware of your project and that they're going to support you in doing it. That's about it. And again, it talks about the support letter from the community partner. Again, this just needs to be something brief, and it can be a simple email to me. Next slide, please. All right. So doing this work is fun, and it's great to get a grant. I would want to make sure that you include your grant in the RPT, your RPT file, that this is a competitively selected campus-wide award. This is Chancellor's Office dollars. This is the equivalent to other grants that are awarded on campus, and there's some offices listed there. This is similar to those. I would also ask you to consider your community work, not just in the service category, but in all three areas of the RPT process. If you're doing service learning, you should definitely talk about using an innovative instructional strategy with your students. It's a high impact practice. If you're doing research in the community, it should go into the research category. Not only did you receive funding, but you also are working on this community-based research, if you're including students in that process, all of those things will be important to note. I always encourage faculty to keep track of the time that they're working with the community partner. In some ways, doing research when you're just doing a straight survey or you're using already available data, those can be pretty cut and dried and fairly quick to turn around an article. Many times your work in the community can take much longer. And I want you to be able to demonstrate the effort that you made in order to yield this publication. I think that would be important. We're going to be talking more about RPT as time goes on, but I'm definitely willing to sit down with you and help you look through some national examples of how faculty have been very successful in the RPT process, and even on our campus as well, by accurately depicting the amount of time and effort it took to fully develop the partnership, to include service learning in the course as a high impact practice, and then also with community-based research and the impact in the local community. And finally, document it all. I think I've kind of said that already, but keeping track of your hours, keeping track of other, the number of students you've engaged, making sure that you are documenting the partnerships that you've made outside of the university and how that may have also yielded an internship opportunity in your department. It may have yielded other additional partnerships or collaborations that are beyond your project. Those are all important to document. It's all a part of the work. It should all be a part of your RPT file. Next slide.
Okay, that is our last slide. And like I mentioned, there is an opportunity for a short Q&A. Before everyone kind of gets going, I do want to put one last link in the chat. Let me see. Let me quickly pull that up. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put. It is a Qualtrics kind of post-event survey. So please complete that. If you do have time, you will be entered into a small giveaway. We will be giving out a nice notepad and a fancy pen from the Office of Community Engagement. So you'll have some OCE swag. But that concludes our presentation. Like I mentioned, we will stay on for a couple more minutes in case there's any questions. And I think there's one that just came in. Do community partners always need to be part of the data collection and dissemination? I imagine not all the community partners would have the time, interest, and ability to help analyze the data or write up and present findings.
Well, you know, that's sort of a case-by-case basis. Obviously, we would work with the strengths of your community partner, but what we don't want to have happen, and what I would be unhappy to hear about, is that we sort of zoomed in, collected data, and then left, and they never found out what happened, what was the result. We want this research to be something that they can use, and so I think that if there's a wrinkle with a community partner, perhaps not having the technical ability or interest or time, let's talk through it. I'm sure there's a way that we can involve them so that they still feel like they've contributed to the interpretation of what the results mean, and then the dissemination of how this will help move communities forward. I want to quickly say, Juan mentioned that we have swag in our office to give to you. We also have that swag for your community partners. So if you're making new relationships and you'd like to have a leave behind, please let us know. I'll be happy to provide you with a nice leave behind welcome gift to your community partners. Yawin, I see you're next.
Hi, yes. Thank you so much for this presentation. This is very helpful. And so I have 3 questions. So the first one is how long is those grant last? Is it like a 1 year or 18 months? Do you have a specific timeline for the project to finish?
Yes, it tends to be 1 year, but it can be extended an additional year.
Okay. And the second question, is it possible to apply 3 grants at the same time?
Yes.
And structure it as like a 3 sections of the big project.
Yep, that's right. And also, we didn't say, but these can also be layered. We don't have the restriction if you're receiving funding from FCE or another place and you want to layer on additional funding from us to make a project possible. We don't have a problem with that.
Oh, great. And the third question is that, are you expecting, this project will lead to other external fundings?
That's not an expectation.
Okay.
It's a bonus if you can, and we'll try to help you get more money, but it's not a deal breaker if it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Nerea, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you so much. It was actually a second question, Johan's second question, but I'm building off on that. So I have this specific project that I wrote about with rangers in Northern California. I got a summer fellowship for that. The issue that we're finding is that they are understaffed and it's very difficult for them to dedicate the time to show us all the locations that we need to be going to. So now I have some money to get myself up there, but they don't have the time and resources to accommodate us at this point. So is this something, when you were saying research partners, can money be allocated for the extra time that they would be spending, like helping us? So is that something that we can?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be hired as consultants on the project.
Okay, and then I just wanted to ask, how quick is the turnaround for these grants?
The sooner we can start that process, the better. It's a little lengthy, so we're always willing to help.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, do you have a question?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, I have a couple questions as well. So one question, I'm thinking about hiring students as researchers. Is there any guidance on how much would we pay them? Like as I create a budget, any thoughts on what a reasonable salary or I guess a stipend would be for students?
It tends to be somewhere between $14 and $15 an hour.
Diane, unless they're grad students, in which
Unless
case
they're grad
there's
students.
a higher rate for grad students, it's closer to 17 or 18 an hour.
Thank you. You're right.
Okay.
There's also some example job descriptions posted on Handshake, so I'm happy to send some examples over if that's helpful.
Yeah, please do if you don't mind. That would be helpful. Another question I had is I'm a little bit confused about the difference between the establishing community partnership and the community-based research grants. It seems like there's some overlap there, or perhaps there isn't. If you could maybe help me kind of understand what the differences are between those two.
Sure. So the establishing partnerships would probably, if it's a new project, that would be my first place I would start. And I would use that $3,000 to get whatever, like if you were intending on doing research, I would use that to get everything started. Develop the partnership, attend their meetings, have your students become familiar with the site, purchase things in advance, and then I would use the $5,000 as a follow-up to then actually fund the actual project and the dissemination. So if you were thinking about it as an $8,000 project, dividing up sort of a preliminary or setup phase and then the actual research itself.
Okay, I see. That's helpful. And then my third question, in terms of partnerships, would other universities count as community partners?
It needs to be. They can, but you'd need to include. You have to include a nonprofit, a school, government agency, something off campus, something not a university. But it's not that you couldn't have a partnership between a university and a nonprofit, or but there needs to be the real community focus, public good focus.
Okay, so if it was like I'm working with UCR for a program that's going to impact the community.
Could there be a partner included in that? A school?
There could. So yeah, so it sounds like there would need to be some clear person who's representing a community group or something. Okay.
But it isn't that you can't do it with UC. I mean, that part's okay. It just needs to have that community piece.
Right. I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Diane.
Hello.
Hi, I have another question. So when you define community, you don't set artificial boundary in terms of like we have to work with San Bernardino County, right? So we can overreach to, you know, like a Riverside or LA County as well.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay. Another follow-up question is that how competitive this grant is in terms of, you know, every year, what's the successful rate for faculty to get this grant?
This is a very friendly process.
Right.
So almost everybody gets funded, unless, and even if you submit something and we're like, it's close, but it's not quite there, we'll help you get it where it needs to be. I think the only people who haven't gotten funded is when, I mean, there's a pot of money and toward the end of the, you know, in the spring, sometimes we just run out. That would be a reason why you wouldn't get funded, because we've just literally run out of funds.
Okay.
But we have plenty of money. So this is very friendly.
That's great. You even have free swag.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I would say it's a 99%, you know, if you've got a good idea, we'll help you get there.
I got a lot of good ideas.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, Narelle?
Sorry, I know it's overtime. Just one question. The establishing grant, at least I don't know for others, for me, the investment is going to be time.
Yeah.
You know, the most important investment, but there's no item in the budget that accounts for that. That's not accounted for. So this is not an item. Right.
That's not my favorite part of this, but that is the truth.
Okay.
That these dollars are not for faculty stipends or buyouts or any of that. And again, that's not my rule. That's coming from somewhere else. So, but if there's a way that a student can help you with it or around it or through it, or a graduate assistant, that's the kind of it in terms of what we can offer.
No worries. It's just, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
And I can attest, the swag is great. I've seen it, I've used it, you want it. So I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that is our presentation. Again, if anyone has any questions, we can stay on for a couple more minutes, or you're always welcome to email us. Let me go ahead and drop our email on the chat. And thank you everyone for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. And our next presentation is in October, and that will be infusing service learning into your syllabus, and we'll be sure to keep you updated.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.